Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle, where we are here to close out your week the right way and talk about all great things. And I was really in a good mood right up until Scott Oglesby came in with the comment and says, "Go Pack." There's a very big football game this weekend for Florida State that I think it's in Raleigh, actually. So I think they have to go to Raleigh to play NC State. And I've never enjoyed doing that throughout my career.
It's interesting. I think after the first couple weeks of college football, everyone was like, there's only two good teams. Everything is really bad. And now I see that there's like 7 ACC teams ranked. I don't know if that's because they're all mediocre or they're really good. I don't know how to gauge which side I'm on.
So the question goes to, and this is a good question for everybody, and that's right, Michelle. Go Noles. Let's go. Represent for us up there in North Carolina. I would say, what's your standard, right? Like if your standard is Georgia and Alabama, sure, guys, there's 2, maybe 3 teams that are at that caliber of level. And Clemson is no longer in that conversation. But then when you say, are there good football teams? Are there capable football teams? And this is, I think, the question. Capability versus desire, right? Mm-hmm. Like there are a lot of capable football teams of winning 10 plus games in college football. Do they all have the same desire every week to win? Right. No. Last week, you saw 2 good football teams between Wake Forest and Florida State battle against each other. Wake Forest clearly had more desire, not on Saturday, but throughout that week. They came in better prepared and more motivated to win that game, and they won. So, it's not, college football isn't bad. It's just, what's the difference? What's the standard, and what are you expecting, I guess?
I'm at the point where I wish that all Florida teams would just have a tournament, included FAU, UCF. Let's just have it out every year for the Florida State title, because we seem to argue amongst each other more than worrying about other schools that happen to be taking all of our players from our state schools.
Right.
But I don't know. Miami's back back this week.
Like Shay's in the background. He's not here this morning. I would love to know whether or not Shay has that video loaded, the Ole Miss video, because that would be a great, like, Ole Miss is a good football team, and so is Kentucky, right? And those 2 teams were battling it out for a win. Are either one of those teams the caliber of Alabama or Georgia? No, not even close. But are they still good football teams? Absolutely they are. Are there still really bad football teams? Yeah, and they exist in the NFL as well, apparently. Because if anybody watched the Thursday night game last night, that was an absolute piss-poor example of what football should look like.
And it's interesting, in the NFL, and this somehow happened turned into a Football Friday talk, which we didn't even plan. Yeah, right. There is no sports even on the content.
We got tons of content about core values and body language coming up.
Just let us get it out.
I got it.
But for right now, we got it. I love it.
Way to kick off a Friday.
Show it. Let's show the Ole Miss video. Show what it really feels like to win a game.
Tackle. Chris Partridge, first-year defensive coordinator. What a reaction. Yep. Guy who was out of coaching, played at Lafayette College, started coaching at Lafayette, and then his mom, Bonnie, ran a very successful business in executive recruiting in the New York City.
Chris Partridge coming out of Lafayette College, which you don't hear a lot of people come out of Lafayette.
Good pub there. But it's fun. I think it's hard in that business because you have to climb the mountain every week. Like you reach the pinnacle and the peak, and it's like, let's turn around and go climb the next mountain on Monday. And
I think there is no better example of that in business than business development, right? Like that to me is, and it's really, and it's been a conversation for us recently and what's going on with our business, but it's that daily discipline, and we talked about it on the GOTB live call on Wednesday, and I had a great back and forth with Laura about what she's getting out of that call. And it's the reminder to get back to the behaviors that help you climb the mountain every single week. It's not about business is good. It's not about I'm comfortable. It's not about we're being successful or we're not. It takes what it takes day in and day out, and you're either paying the piper and doing the work or you're not.
Yeah, it's fun to see the reward once it pays off, but we have amazing content. So let's get to some wake up music, and then let's get into some core value talk.
Let's go.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on.
I get such a Full House vibe every time that video plays of us like going over the bridge, and it's just like, oh, it's the
I love it. So Patrick Tinney comes in with the comment that says, in business development, you have to have perpetual hunger. He says biz dev is the grinder's game. I don't necessarily agree. I think if you study high performers, if you study people that have sustained success, it's not necessarily a hunger. It's a love for the process. It's a love for the work. I know we have a video that I love to show during my leadership trainings, which Nick Saban is talking about having a speaker come in. And he talked about, how did you stay motivated? How did you, when you had so much success and you were a Hall of Famer after 12 years, how did you continue to find success or be successful? And the answer is always, I love the process. I loved what it took to do the work to set me up for success. So I do agree that there has to be a hunger, but what is that hunger? In biz dev, if the hunger is for money or for revenue, is that really going to sustain you? Or does the hunger have to be for connection? Does the hunger have to be for learning? Does the hunger have to be for delivering value? The process that allows you to be successful in biz dev, maybe that's what the real key is to finding sustained success, which if you're trying to instill that in an organization, there's no better way to do that than to have core values that communicate that.
And I think it's interesting because people don't really fully align with their job per se. Like they get these job titles and they don't even understand the activities that go under that job title or the things that aren't specifically written to you that you have to do in that job. And they do a poor job of developing those skills or even acknowledging that they don't align with that or want to do that. And so having the core values, setting the expectation up front so there's no ambiguity about what they're walking into. And I think this company that we visited yesterday does an amazing job of setting the behaviors that need to be in their organization.
I love that. So you guys got the opportunity to go visit with Warren Struhl and the Struhl family. You guys got to talk about licorice.com and pretzel.com and working together, but they had some core values that when you guys shared this with me yesterday, I was like, oh my God, these are awesome. Did you get to talk to him about how they came up with these, or was there any conversation around this?
It was a total last minute, see the board. Their Goat Foods is the umbrella company that they operate licorice.com, and they just moved into a beautiful new warehouse. So they have all the machines running. They're packing licorice, packing pretzels, and walking out, I saw the board, and it really reminded me of like being in a football office. The boards are everywhere, every room, and you start looking at them everywhere. And it said, like, what do goats do? And I was like, goats, the greatest of all time, and Goat Foods. So, Mark, I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to read
so I think we can go through some of these, or we can just kind of blast through them real quick and read them all so everybody has an opportunity to hear them. And then we can pull out some of the ones that we want to talk about. But the first one is Goats are trusted and respected, and goats show respect to each other inside our doors. Nothing matters most. Goats share with each other and are always open to improvements. Your ideas matter. Goats take pride in their workspace and clean up at the end of every day. A clean factory is a successful one. Goats show respect for their job by arriving early, so our factory starts on time every day. Goats understand that phones are great technology to use on your break in your house and car. Goats respect the clock. Break times are the same for all, smokers and non-smokers alike. Goats live to smile. Your smile can be felt by our customers and will bring them back again. Goats want to impress their customers with every order and every interaction. Goats measure success when a customer places a second order. Goats' food success is your success. So I love that all of this spoke to behavior, not results. Didn't talk about, selling the most pretzels or selling the most licorice. It didn't talk about, KPIs and numbers. This spoke to everything about what are the behaviors we're looking for in our organization. Now, that's really great. And they got granular in some of those. I would challenge them that those core values don't come to life unless everybody understands how that core value relates to the exact role that they're in, which I think is where a lot of people struggle.
And for me, I loved how they started with the team first. It wasn't about the customer. It said we respect each other first. This is, and especially in a family business where you have fathers, you have sons, they've built a couple businesses together, have different silos that they're running. It was really cool to watch them interact with each other, and very kind of similar to us, of course, where there's always a tone of respect, but it was cool that they set the precedent up front that they respect each other in the building.
I love that. I mean, I think, as I'm going to ask you, because I talk about this a lot with the people that we coach, can you tell me what my 3 keys to success for core values are? Like what I tell everybody has to happen with them? Very simple.
You have to teach them.
Okay. So know them. I'll give you that. I'll give you that close. Everybody's got to know them.
Oh man, this is tough. I know the last one.
What's the last one?
Last one is reinforce, right?
Hold people accountable to them.
Hold people accountable.
So the middle one is if you know it and you're being held accountable.
Can you teach it, right?
Nah, you gotta live it.
Live it.
So I love core values, and to me, it's great that they had them on every wall. It's great that everybody can see them consistently because that offers the opportunity for people to really know them. But if people know them, they still have to live them, right? And the only way that as a leader of an organization you can ensure that people are living them is to have an accountability check with it, right? And so the conversation goes to how do you ensure that you're getting the visibility you need to ensure people are living the core values and ultimately holding each other accountable? Because I think that was the one thing every time I took over a new organization, you had to restart. You had to instill those core values into the team, and they didn't have them before I got there. So for me, I was the one who had to be preaching it. I was the one who had to be living it. And then I was the one who had to be holding everybody accountable to it. If you build the organization the right way, everybody should know them. If everybody knows them, everybody's living them. And eventually you get to a point where you're not the one holding people accountable to them. Everybody's holding each other accountable to them. So that to me is, you can have core values all you want. If you're not, people don't know them, if people don't live them, and there's not accountability to them, it's a waste of time.
That sounds like any initiative that you try to implement anywhere is right. You have to do that. And I think with core values, I think it's interesting where organizations set them and they think they're good. And then years later, it kind of starts to fade, where it's a consistent yearly reinforcement, starting the years with it. Like football, every team was a new year. And I kind of love that. Even if you returned 25 seniors, it was, hey, this team is new for this year. And I like looking at that. Even in the business world, it's like, we have this year together. No idea what's going to happen years down the road. What are we doing this year as this team and working together? And so I think it's really cool.
I mean, that to me is part of what creates that relation from football to business is everybody operates on a fiscal year, right? There's always quarterly goals. So just the way you look at a football game broken into quarters, every game then builds for the season restarts every year. It's similar for a business, right? And to assume you're just going to climb the mountain and have success all day, every day is ridiculous. To think that there's not going to be adversity, to think you're not going to either be in position to lose a game or actually lose a game, or be in a position to not hit goal or not actually reach the goal. Those things you have to anticipate. Those things you have to assume are coming, and not say, I'm going to put all of these contingencies in place for when it does. Just know I have an idea on what we will do, and I know we will overcome it depending on whatever that scenario is.
Situational awareness.
That's exactly correct.
I love it. But let's get to some motivational music, and then let's get
go
to the next set of content.
Monday you can hold your head. Tuesday, Wednesday, stay in bed. On Thursday, watch the walls instead. It's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, wait. Sunday always comes too late. But Friday never hesitates. Dressed up to the eyes, it's a wonderful surprise. See your shoes and your spirits rise. Don't have to frown and just light up the town. See as the sheep spinning round and round. Always take a big bite, it's such a gorgeous sight. To see you eat in the middle of the night. You can never get enough of this stuff. It's Friday, I'm in love. I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday, I'm in love.
Friday, baby. I'm in love. Absolutely.
That was a Steve
I am.
Nudelberg request.
Well, I hope he got a chance to listen to it before he steps on stage. I know he's stepping on stage in front of Network Lead Exchange in Boca right now. I think he's supposed to go on in 15 minutes. So good luck to you, sir. Hope you got a chance to hear the song before you step on. But let's continue the conversation a little bit. Let's talk about body language, because to me, what is National Body Language Day? What's the reason that we're talking
National
about
Body Language Day?
Which, so sidebar conversation real quick. I had to talk to Kai this morning about, Shay, you can pull that down for a minute. I had to talk to Kai this morning about National Noodle Day yesterday, because he was in tears because it's official. He's officially in the club. He's been made fun of because of his last name, Nudelberg. So just some backstory real quick. I'm going to take some time to do this. Kai calls me every morning on his way to school.
On Friday, and this is a great story.
Kai calls me every morning on his way to school.
Single person in our family has gone through it.
Kai calls me every morning on the way to school, and every morning I answer the FaceTime with "Good morning, Kai Everett Nudelberg," and he gets upset and he goes, "Daddy, I don't like when you call me by my last name." I'm like, "Really? Why?" And he starts to cry already, and I'm like, he goes, "When people say my last name at school, people laugh at me and they make fun of it." And I'm like, "Oh, welcome to the club. It has officially happened." So then you get to go into the conversation of like, "Hey, don't worry. Poppy's been there. I've been there. Uncle Jake has been there. There's good things coming for you down the road. It's a unique name. You're the only one in the world." You go into all of the benefits of it.
I remember having this talk.
But the reality is that it sucks right now, dude. People are going to make fun of it, and it's only going to make you tougher. It's only going to make you better.
Right.
So National Day yesterday was National Noodle Day. Now we're talking today about National Body Language Day, which you can't let other people's making fun of your name ruin your body language, right?
Right, but even in the business world and the coaching world, I think we see it a lot in sports. They talk about body language just because it's such a real sport. It's such a real-time action. If you had a camera on you all day while you were working, what would your body language really look like? I think everyone makes this big deal of coaches and how they're reacting and their faces.
Right. And I think it is a big deal because I think our body language communicates 1,000 times more than what people are actually saying, right? Or the words that are coming out of their mouth. I use that saying all the time with people is, I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are so loud. It's the same with your body language, right? You could be sitting there staring at somebody, nodding your head, but if you're glazed over and you're just kind of in this nod, people know you're not listening to them. So you may think that you're putting that out for people, but you're really not. So I think this conversation of what kinds of body language are there, how do we make ourselves aware of our body language, and what are some of the keys to success in body language? I think it starts with the handshake and eye contact. Right. To me, like, if you suck at handshakes or you suck at eye contact, you've immediately set yourself behind the 8 ball in whatever conversation's coming after.
By the way, the conversation that's going on with the names right now, look at the boy named Sue, worked out.
Oh,
kids are stupid and make like it's unreal that
it's a fantastic conversation. Hold on. So I love this because Scott comes in and says, I feel your pain. You feel your pain, guys. Mark still hasn't said mine right. So I'm going to attempt to get this right. Oglesby? Because I always say Oglesby.
But pronounce the L.
Maybe it's
we're not going to get an answer.
Oglesby. Maybe
we're not going to get an answer.
I can't get a pronunciation in the comments, I guess. But Scott, shoot me a voice message through LinkedIn. Send me a voice memo and tell me how to say your last name so I no longer get that wrong. But talk to me about body language. We talk about eye contact. We talk about handshake. Those are super important. Are there other ones that stick out to you as like things you got to focus on?
To me, the crossed arms, being very closed off to people. To me, like, it's so funny that nobody talks to strangers anymore. Like, you get in the elevator and nobody looks at you and everyone looks mad. Right. Everybody talks about, I'm just going to say it, resting bitch face.
Yeah, the RBF.
The RBF. And I think it's just being aware of what you're doing. I think taking the time to learn about them, learn about the different things that you don't even know you're doing. Their tics.
Jay Katari's comment is fucking hilarious. He said, now you fucked up his name at least twice.
Joe's gone off the rails. It is a fun Friday.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. But so I do want to drive the point home about body language there because it does matter, right? And so like I don't really buy into the arms crossed. Like if I meet somebody new and I'm standing in front of you, there's a high likelihood that I'm going to cross my arms.
But I don't think that your face, like if your
face matters. Your face says 1,000 words.
Your hand motions.
And okay, so I want to stay on this topic then. So if body language is so important, the last thing I want to drive home to you is why would you not use the opportunity to be able to communicate with your body language as often as you can? And I want to give a shout out to Paul Pickens at Sistel because Paul this morning sent a video to his team. We had a coaching call yesterday. He copied me on it this morning at 7:30, and he sent a video communicating an update to the processes, an update to the equipment, how to overcome an issue with it, and immediately increased the way he communicated with his team. So love the conversation today. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. Thank you guys for joining us for another week of the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Be sure to scan the QR code, right? Be at the event, the Women's Summit on the 27th. We'd love to see you guys there. We only have a few more tickets, a conversation for women, by women, but that doesn't mean the only people that should be there are women. So looking forward to seeing you guys there. We've got a great, great month of stuff coming up. We'll talk about, you got your opportunity to see Jen there as well. So have a great week. We love you guys. We thank you guys.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night